Great Knot Indoors, and today we are going camping. Now, where do you go camping? Well, you go camping at a camping ground. Now, where are these things found? Well, they're found wherever these things have sprouted. You see, these fire pits are the only place you're allowed to have a fire in the Great Knot Indoors. So obviously, you're going to build your campground where the fire pits have grown. So around here, there's probably a good 40 of these things that have sprouted out of the ground. So people have gone ahead and put little tables around, which are super convenient. Let's take a look around the campground and see what we can find. Right, so what is something else you're going to find when you're camping? Well, this is actually something you need to bring with you. It is a tent. A lot of people say, oh, we're going to go sleep under the stars. They're filthy liars. You actually sleep underneath your tent. Unless you sleep on the ground, in which case you're not a liar and you are under the stars. Right, so you're going to know that you're at a camping ground when you find not just the fire pit, but these tables. Now these tables don't grow here. These are actually man-made, though it's very easy to confuse them for something that has grown out of the ground. We've seen the fire pit a little bit. Now what exactly do you do with the fire pit? Well, what we're going to do later on is we're going to actually start a fire in this, much like cavemen used to do before there was central heating and air. Now, basically those of you who are not used to the Great Knot Indoors, this is much like your indoor air conditioning and heating and central air system, except it's only hot. You can't turn this cold for some reason. Now, it's also weird that the whole area doesn't turn the same temperature. It's kind of hotter if you're really close to it, and cooler if you're farther away. Really bizarre. Now, how do we start this fire? Well, you're going to need a Kindle. And if you don't have an Amazon Kindle, the Fire works as well from Amazon, or the Nook from Barnes & Nobles. Really, any e-reader will do. Just make sure you own one. You don't really need it here, but own one. Right, so now we're going to go ahead and start this fire with these two sticks. Now, according to tradition and legend, I'm going to rub them together. Should be adequate. And then, as you can see, just like that, we're making more heat. The air conditioning is working, but it is definitely not cool. When you're out camping, what happens when you need to use the bathroom? Or nature calls, as they would say. Well, you have two options. The first option is you dig a hole. And by law, the hole has to be 6 feet deep and at least 3 feet in diameter. The time it takes to dig this hole when you need to use the restroom is astoundingly painful. So, the other option is to find a pit latrine. Essentially what they do here is they dig out a giant hole for you, and then they put a little building on top with a toilet. The nice thing is, you don't have to flush, but there is one horrible catch. You see, the toilet is basically just a toilet that sits on top of a hole that falls into the giant pit. And here's the catch. Please do not put trash in the toilets. It's extremely difficult to remove. Now, I know what you're thinking. Going down there has to be the world's worst job. And you'd be right if it wasn't even more sinister and dark than what you're thinking. You see, this is a child in a sanitary owl suit. Now, what this does is prevent the child from gagging and choking to death on the fumes and whatever they might find down that hole. And they lower them by their feet on a rope and they let them retrieve things. Losing your phone down there is one of the cruelest things you can do to these children. They're the only ones that can fit down there. It's dark, it's scary, and it smells putrid. If you want to learn more about camping, children in sanitary owl suits, and broken air conditioning, remember, buy my book.